Welcome to the September 12th, 2023 Town Board Work Session. If you all please rise for pledge to the flag. Mary, would you lead us in a pledge?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could all remain standing for a moment, let us keep in our thoughts and our prayers all of our first responders, police, fire, ambulance, EMTs, who serve us on a daily basis and come to our aid in the time of need, and also for the greatest men and women in our nation that defend our freedoms on a daily basis. And also keep in your thoughts and prayers all the men and women who perished during the 9/11 attacks, and those that continue to perish due to 9/11 related illnesses. Thank you. Amen. Okay. Just a few quick opening remarks. Okay. Yesterday we had several meaningful events with regard to 9/11. All were meaningful. All were very reverent. The one that I think that sent a real message home was the one that we had in Shrub Oak. We were there during a pouring rain, and we had quite the crowd, even though it was a deluge. And Monsignor D'Angelico had said, "It's God's tears raining down on us." And he was so right. But during our remembrance there, we also unveiled a stone, a monument that's in between the curved wall and the mural wall that was put up a couple of years ago. It was a stone for all those that continue to perish due to the 9/11 related illnesses, and it's quite beautiful. If you get the chance, please go over there and take a look at it. It was donated to be put there by Liz and Eric DiBartolo. As a matter of fact, we set the stone on Saturday and rearranged the garden a little bit, and I think Jimmy would probably say that we did a pretty good job over there, right? But beautiful stone, beautiful design. It came to fruition about a year or so ago, and I said, we have to start remembering these individuals that keep perishing due to 9/11 related illnesses, and several people that I know have gone already, and it's going to continue, unfortunately. So please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Hey, the Feast of San Gennaro, we got to postpone it till Thursday for the start. It's due to weather. The procession is still going to start on Thursday at 6 p.m., but it's supposed to be a real blustery day with a lot of rain tomorrow, so we decided to 6 p.m. So we decided to hold it off until Thursday, when it's supposed to be beautiful, kind of like I think it was today. And Sergio, thank you for that successful kids versus the cops. And I guess the kids won again, didn't they?
Yeah, they squeaked
Those
it
darn
out.
cops. We got one in the back there.
It out.
They squeaked it out. Perfect. It was a fundraiser and a special tribute to Harrison Apar. And I believe, Jenna, you went to school with Harrison, didn't you? Okay. And also, we had a drug epidemic awareness dedication right next to the skate park alongside of the town hall here. And a special thanks to Karen and Liz for making it happen. And Sergio, once again, thanks for getting that fence put up with Salem Fence. Salem, right?
Salem Fence.
Salem Fence. He donated it. It looks great, and it's really a tribute. And it was a very moving ceremony and talks that the individual parents and loved ones had for their loved ones that have perished due to this terrible disease, this drug epidemic that's just engulfing our society. Now we're into much worse stuff with this fentanyl that's out there. So, may God bless all of them.
Just to interrupt you, special shout out to Jimmy Martirano Jr. with Parks and Rec, because he's a rock star.
Oh my God! And I'm getting back to Jimmy in a minute. And although the weather didn't cooperate totally for the Grange Fair, they had their 99th annual fair, which was great. Next year's their big one, So let's keep that in mind, and let's start praying now for good weather for them, and hopefully they'll blow it out of the park. But I have to say something. Jim Martirano is a rock star. Okay, he was out there yesterday during the rain. He was out there setting up tents so that people could try to stay dry. He set up the speakers. He was afraid he was going to end up with curly hair because of the water that we were working in.
He was soaking wet.
He was soaking wet, right down to the bone. And Jim, and thank your guys too for all that they do. They had that memorial spotless, all redone with mulch and stuff like that. It was amazing. Unfortunately, we didn't have a beautiful day, but I think people had a beautiful remembrance that day. Jimmy, thank you so much. Okay, we got an Indian Point test coming up. Let's see what they say about the Indian Point test here. Indian Point full volume siren test will be on Wednesday, September 13th at 10:30 a.m. Do not evacuate. This test will be for 4 minutes, and it is only a test. No action is required. Okay, no action is required by anybody. And the Westchester County Household Recycling Day is September 17th, 2023. It's Household Recycling Days. The HRDs are back for 2023. Be September 17th, 2023, Sunday, 9 to 3 at Charles Point Resource Recovery Facility. That's 3 John Walsh Boulevard, Peekskill, New York. Then there's going to be another one October 14th, Sprain Ridge Park in Yonkers, and another one on November 4th at from 9 to 3. Both are from 9 to 3 at Playland Park in Rye. Okay, and also it'll be Happy New Year, right, Ed?
That is correct. Lashana Tova for all of those celebrating Rosh Hashanah, starting at sunset on Friday. Wishing everyone a very sweet and happy New Year.
All right, Happy New Year, all. Okie doke. I guess we're going to have Jim come up. And, and by the way, a special shout out also to my police and my an hour volunteer firemen and our Boy Scouts who came out for the 9/11 memorial service in Shrub Oak. They were there during the height of that rain, and it was really nice. They blocked the roads so that we didn't have the buses going by, and everybody could have the day in reverence. And thank you all so much for what you did out there. The police, the firemen, the Boy Scouts did a great presentation. So I just wanted to get that out there also.
Police almost made up for losing the game.
Yeah, they almost made up for losing the game, but we'll let it. Maybe better luck next time.
Those kids are tough.
They are. I tell you that.
10U Huskers.
The 10U Huskers were throwing some heat out there. I was watching them. Okay, they were really letting it go. So anyhow, Jim Martirano Jr., Parks and Rec Superintendent, come on up here along with Keith Shepard from the Tree Commission for a tree bank fund balance discussion.
Yeah, so he and I have been getting together a few times, looking at different opportunities to beautify the town and replace some dead and dying trees And we've identified Railroad Park as a place we want to beautify and fix up behind the old train station and around the train station. So Keith has a little bit more details of exactly what we're going to be doing. So let me have Keith come up.
Hi, Keith.
So Jim and I met at the Railroad Park in the depot building. So the trees are, half of them are missing, half of them are dead, vine covered. There's some sanitation problem behind the building with people doing what they do behind buildings. So I met with John Tegleter today and Robin, and they suggested making it more of a hedge that would only be 3 or 4 feet tall, that the park department once a year could come in and trim. I have a list of plants that, pretty much we're gonna use 4 different plants. We're gonna corners with rhododendrons that are native, that'll flower in the springtime. But specifically behind the building, we wanna use a lower growing, flowering dogwood. It's a multiple stem dogwood. I could give you what I printed out and to really confuse you.
Sure, that would be great.
That's right, I like that.
That would be great.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you.
There's no diagram that goes with it, but I priced out pretty much what. Oh,
Thanks,
I'm
Keith.
sorry, I don't
That's
have-
all right, I'll give her my copy after I look it over.
So the idea was to utilize some of the money that's in the tree bank for the project. The tree bank is town money to be used for trees and for the educating of trees, planting of trees. So along with Jim's crew, who provide the labor, we can start teaming up, all throughout the town. So this would be the first of many, hopefully, that we do.
Sounds good.
I'm in.
Let's
that easy?
let's do it.
I mean, the cost of the material, because you don't pay tax, right? the
Right.
town? So the cost of the material is about $1,400. No, let me put my
Yeah,
glasses on.
1411.
1,400.
Then an additional 3 for the irrigation,
Yeah,
300.
the irrigation, it's 120 linear feet
Right.
when it's all said and done. So we need to put irrigation, soaker hoses around
We
everything.
can put them out with timers,
Yeah.
so forth.
Connect to the depot.
Okay.
The depot has water connected to it, so we
Perfect.
have to get with the water department on that connection, but
Yep.
we can make that work.
Perfect.
Is there an outside spigot or an inside spigot?
There is one, but it's not active at the moment, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get with Kenny on that.
And then we'll put Dominic pointed out to put like a black safety mat, because one of the hoses has to go over the sidewalk.
Oh, okay.
So we put a mat there. So, with your approval, we'll go ahead with the project.
Perfect.
I have no problem with it. Do we need to have a resolution on this?
I have no problem. I have a question. How much money is in the tree fund?
I really
We
don't
don't?
know.
Okay,
That's not my department. We
okay.
have an
I have to
account-
ask,
we have
I have
an
to ask you
accountant
now.
that's on
Yeah, we'll
the-
have to, I believe it's over $100,000.
Yeah, it's,
That's what I'm saying, because if you're gonna go around the town, I was just curious to say.
We've identified Shrub Oak Park, probably will be our next project. There's some
Perfect.
areas there that need trees and bushes to
This is
stabilize.
exactly what we need to be doing.
Perfect.
stabilize
But let me
the-
ask you a
Thank
question.
you.
Are you gonna have your glasses on when you plant the trees, or are they gonna be off?
no, let me crook it. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
alone.
Micro-
Just making
trees,
sure,
they'll
we
be
don't
off.
want,
I need my glasses.
So, you know,
To answer the phone, you need glasses.
yeah, I know, yeah.
you know, we're talking $1,700 to $2,000 here. I think it's a laudable cause. You know, it's stuff that we haven't done in many years, and we do have the money in the tree bank
Yeah.
to
Right.
take care of this. So there's no reason, in my view, that we can do this.
Every year, we fill out application to maintain our tree city.
Yeah,
And part of
Right.
that application, Jim.
Planting trees.
Jim gets asked, how many trees did you cut down, how many did you plant?
Right.
The Highway Department, how many did you cut down, how many did you plant? So overwhelmingly, we're not planting enough trees.
right.
So I think that, we have winter coming, if we can start documenting during a storm, hey, we lost 4 trees on Underhill Avenue, 2 on Mosman.
Let's
Then
plant.
next year, we can just say, okay, now we go and we buy trees and we plant them.
How many did we plant that one day, Keith? What did we,
We hammered out about 2 dozen.
yeah. That was a fun day. Yeah, it was nice. We got a nice little,
And they're growing.
and they're growing good?
You know, you mentioned the 100-year anniversary of the Grange. That's where you plant the tree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe at that same time, we do a dedication with a plaque that just,
Yep.
and go on from there.
Trees go along with everything.
Yep. All right, so,
Thank you, Keith.
Agreed.
Did you know if you plant 2 oak trees 6 feet from each other, their roots will intertwine and marry one another?
Oh, yeah.
And they make the best hammocks. I used to do some gardening myself.
oh, boy. Adam, do we need to do a resolution on this? We're gonna vote on the end of the meeting to let them get this money? Or do we wanna do that?
Say yes, Adam.
Yeah, you should. Let's do it next week. So
We could do it next week.
Answer Mary's question.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, Mary, what was your question?
About
No, that's what Mary's question is, so that we can
Oh,
take
the
a deep
balance,
dive
yeah,
to
this
find
way
the
we can answer.
balance and-
But like I say, I believe you're right, Jim, there's over 100,000 in there.
Yeah.
But can we do it today, or we can't?
No, I think we
My
need to-
question would be, and we had talked to Janelle about it, would the purchase be coming straight out of that line, or would that be transferred to one of my lines to then purchase
It's a
those
Janelle
trees?
question.
Good question, so why don't we vote on it next week?
Yeah.
And,
Well, the invoice will come from Hardscrabble.
right,
You know, like when Sergio donated money, that was to the Arbor Day Fund.
mm-hmm,
So when that got paid for, it was from that one.
yeah,
When we bought the saplings in the springtime for the nursery, I got a phone call from Jim's office or somebody asking what fund that came out. That came out of the tree bank.
right.
So when an invoice comes from Hardscrabble Farm,
It should go to the tree bank, but we'll do a deeper dive and have it
it'll go to
wrapped
his
up by
office.
Tuesday.
Yeah, either that or we just transfer money into your fund and then it comes out.
Let's let the banker do the banking stuff.
We'll let the bank do the banking stuff, that's
And we'll
all.
get you the trees.
All right, we're
I
good.
got some
I'm-
contacts at
I'm-
Hardscrabble.
I'm for the trees.
That's it.
Thank you, Keith.
We're
Thank
good,
you.
thank you.
Good to see you, Keith. Jimmy?
Keith, thank you for all you do.
I appreciate it, Keith.
Okay, do we have, are we 8 o'clock yet? Not quite. Or we have the
Okay, so
Crown Castle cell phone tower on Darby Street?
here.
Laney Hawkins Kane, Crown Castle? Going once? Going twice?
He's just not up there.
Huh?
Oh, he's on?
Oh, he's on the Zoom.
Oh,
Okay.
we're good.
Oh, as we talk to the audience.
It is, it's a packed room tonight. He looks just like you, Diane. What's up with that?
John.
And if everyone reaches under their chairs, there's a special surprise.
What is this, a wedding? Look under the
No,
plate.
it's like
That's
Oprah does
Yeah,
that.
flip the
Telling
plate.
you I got, so.
We're gonna do the tarantella and that person gets the centerpiece.
That's it.
Do we have his number to let him know that we're here?
Hey, Dan, can we turn the air up just a little bit? Is that a possibility? Or turn our air up just a little bit?
Lenny, are you on?
What do you want?
68.
60,
Can you hear us?
57.
Que pecado.
Che peccato che cosa? Hai visto cara di Tully?
You know, we gotta do here too.
Que estou cá.
Yeah, choose it.
I just saw it.
And then I responded for us.
We definitely have to, is he there?
He's on.
Did you have to put start video on?
But I wonder if that starts her video, not his video.
Do you have the volume up on the TV?
No, there's no videos.
There's the volume up?
By
Diana, did
himself,
you have
he
to put
should.
start video on the right, left?
Oh, to start
Below
video on
left?
the left-hand side, I
Below
think.
left.
I wonder if that starts her video.
Oh,
No,
maybe-
no, that's, that,
No, that's from my picture.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
Yeah, that's internally.
nothing to do with it.
No, he needs to hit start video. She needs to hit start video.
Lenny, are you on?
I don't even hear her.
No, I don't hear any.
I'll try turning mine on.
Does anyone have a number for her that we can call her?
No, it says there are 2 participants.
It should come through up there.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, I'm here. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I'm gonna keep her on mine since that's how we're hearing her, but. Okay. I'm gonna go from there.
Weird.
Go ahead.
All right, sorry about that. But my name is Lainey Kane, and I'm a real estate specialist with Crown Castle. I've been invited to this town board to propose an amendment to the lease agreement that Crown Castle has with the town of Yorktown. This is in regards to a telecommunications tower on Darby Street. It's right next to another tower which Crown owns and has a lease with the town, and then also I think there is a water tower there as well. The proposal is to expand our footprint. For Dish Wireless, they have approached us and they would like to co-locate on the tower. So we are proposing the amendment to expand our footprint by 70 square feet. At this site in particular, there is space within the existing compound, so this will not require any compound expansion, so not taking up any additional space outside what is already being used. And then the proposal as far as rent goes is $500 a month, and that $500 would escalate annually at 2.8%, and that escalation would commence on July 1st, 2028. And pretty much that is the only change we're proposing to the lease, just to expand that footprint for Dish and then have that increase in rent to pay for that additional space.
Did you say that was gonna take place on 2028?
The escalation would take place on 2028, and that is to match our license agreement with Dish. So our license fee also begins to escalate on July 1st, 2028. So that was the goal there, to match.
With that particular agreement, so when would the dish or whatever's going up on your tower there, when would that take place?
So the goal right now is Q1 of next year. So the main goal would be to do it in January, but really it just is going to depend on when the amendment can be fully executed and then getting all the zoning and permitting requirements done.
All right, so we're looking for Jan 1, 2024 to start the project?
Correct.
And then you want a $500 increase starting in Jan 1 of 2024 without any increases. So for 4 years, you'll be fixed at $500 a month?
Correct.
And that matches your Dish contract as well, correct?
What was that?
It's not our contract. I mean,
I know, but that's what
it's
she's doing. Is she's
No,
trying
it
to,
matches the lease agreement.
Yeah,
that
with
we
the Dish.
Our lease agreement that we currently have goes through, and then it starts escalating in 2024, correct, Adam? Or 2028, I'm sorry.
That's the proposal,
Right.
right,
yes.
So Adam,
I see.
so he's,
what do you say about this?
Well, I mean, we like co-location, makes sense. They're not really adding anything to the tower other than an antenna. It's not going any higher, so it won't be right, Laney, it's not going any higher,
square feet.
Oh, yes, correct.
right? So there won't be any significant visual impacts. They're not expanding the compound. They are offering additional remuneration in the form of $500 a month. So, you know, I mean, I have no objection. The application, the permit to install will be reviewed by the building inspector and approved. You know, if there's any issues, you know, he can address them, technical issues, but I can't really see there being an issue.
Right, planning and engineering have to get involved in that at all?
No, not really. Sir,
John, does planning have to get involved with this, and engineering? I just saw Dan. Where did he go?
He's having a little sidebar
Okay, hey, Dan?
with Jim.
Oh.
John?
Only if you ask us to. You know, it sounds as though it's an existing condition and you're adding a dish or something. So I agree, probably minimal additional visual impacts. If you want us to look at it, we're here to help.
Okay,
So
thanks.
what's the extra 70 square feet for if you're just adding addition on the current pole, on the current tower?
It's for
I am-
their equipment down
Okay.
on the ground, but it's inside an existing compound.
And so, Adam, I want to just go back to the $500 to Ed's point. Our existing agreement with them right now is through 2028, and that's when escalation starts. And so this would fall in line, the additional 500 with the current agreement that we have. Is that correct? Is that accurate?
I'm not sure, what do you mean?
The extra, she's proposing $500 additional a month starting in, whenever it starts, doesn't matter. And then the escalation will begin in 2028. And that's because our existing agreement with them says that our escalation will begin in 2028.
So the 500.
I don't know that off the top of my head. Laney, do you have that info?
So mostly correct. The only part is that the escalation that begins in 2028, that is based off of Dish and Crown's license agreement together. That's where the escalation date comes from.
Right, but we don't have a license agreement with Dish. That would be you. I don't.
So she's matching it all up.
Correct.
Okay,
And the
here's-
reason we like to match it is because you would get more money when we get more money.
So you start getting more money
But
when?
do you get
Lenny?
less money when we get less money?
July 1st, 2028.
2028, so Dish gets to put their stuff up there, and you get nothing for it till 2028?
No, sorry. I meant the escalation. So it's going to begin, y'all will get $500 a month. And the reason that we put the escalation date to commence on July 1st, 2028 is because that's when our license agreement with Dish also begins to escalate. So we were matching it in the sense of once we start getting an escalated fee, you will also start getting an escalated fee.
So it has nothing to do with our agreement with you, with the escalation. With our current agreement with you, is there an escalation date that commences? In our current agreement, irrespective of this new stuff that you're bringing to the table?
I need to dig into the existing agreement to see exactly if there is an escalation rate, but this would be just specifically for the $500 a month.
So it's $500 a month that you would be giving us,
Correct.
right? So what you're saying is you're willing to give us the $500 a month during the escalation of which you're also giving your other contracts a $500 a month. And I'm curious if our escalation date is sooner than the date of 2028 and we get the escalation at that time, why should we not get the more money earlier and wait to when you're escalating all your contracts? What's the benefit for you for me to lose, let's say, 3 or 4 months on the extra $500 so that all your contracts are escalating at the same time?
I might have misunderstood your question, but from the moment the Dish begins construction, you would get $500 a month. And then on July 1st, 2028, that $500 would begin escalating. So we have the money to give the town $500 a month because we, on the other side, have a license agreement with Dish, and that is for the tower space, and they will be giving us money.
Got it. So just to be clear, when you engage with these other escalations with Dish and whatnot, that's when the findings of the $500 will be available for you to give it to the town.
Correct.
I would like to know, in your current agreement that we have now, what the escalation date is for this existing agreement, because although I fully respect Dish, I would rather the escalation fall in line with our agreement, irrespective of Dish. I mean, I really have no relationship with Dish, or the town doesn't, for that matter. So,
But I think what Lenny's saying is if she's not in that contract, if the contract isn't activated, meaning they're in construction, then they don't even have the money for escalation. So to secure the $500, it all has to coincide in date. So if construction is committed as of that date of 2028, then that's when they will have the extra $500 funds to give to the town. Is that right, Lenny?
No.
Correct.
no.
That's how she's,
When do we get our money? Let's make it simple.
when Dish starts working.
Okay.
And when let me back up one lady. So we have, this Dish is gonna be put up when?
The goal is January 2024.
2024, okay. So we don't get anything then from Crown Castle until 2028?
No.
No, you would get $500 beginning January 2021. So the commencement date for that $500 would be whenever Dish begins their construction. So the goal is January 2024. So
Okay.
if they start to build in January 2024, that's when you'll start receiving $500 a month.
Okay,
And and so basically, the $500 is a fixed rate for 4 years because the escalation for Dish with them starts in 2028.
Yep.
Which to me doesn't really matter what the escalation date starts with them and Dish, right? I mean, she would have a fixed rental price, let's say, of $500 for 4 years because Dish likes it that way. That's what's going on here. So, for example, if they're paying us $1,000 a month already, hypothetically, and the escalation starts in 2025 on the $1,000, right? The $500, the escalation wouldn't start until 2028 because of Dish, not 2025. So we would actually have 2 tracks that we have to keep track of, as opposed to making it whatever the escalation date is in the contract on their current agreement. That's when the 500 should start to escalate, either, irrespective of their agreement with Dish. And they could have Dish change it.
And the other,
I think that's accurate.
Adam, I think the other thing we have to hone in on here too is we just went through a whole thing during this budgetary process and audit process with cell towers, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we have to hone in some of these contracts, because that was a big major sticking point for us not getting our audit done as timely as we usually do.
Right, there was a new requirement that these valuation process had to be undertaken, these new regulations that the federal government passed. And, you know, it's been work. We've worked with the auditors, and we had to get new software, which we discussed here. So, you know, we've worked through that, but, you know, we're certainly, now that we have that system in place, these issues hopefully won't be arising in the future, and there will be no bottleneck.
Yeah, I think that 100%, Adam. That we, you know, we definitely have to hone in on these cell tower areas and companies to make sure that when leases change, you know, Crown Castle sells to ABC Towers. I don't know. You know, that we are kept abreast of what is actually going on between the sales. So I guess at some point in time we're going to have to do some different wording in some of these contracts or renewals so that we know what goes on, because that was half the problem, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
We just didn't know who they were sold to and so on and so forth, which hung us up for months.
Yeah, well, look, sometimes these leases go on for decades. You've got leases that were executed in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And, you know, several transactions. I mean, everybody knows the stories about the spin-offs and the mergers, the AT&Ts, the Lucents, the AT&Ts again, the Sprints, the Nextels. I don't know who they are now, right?
So in your experience, is it normal for escalations then to match? I mean, what she's saying is upon construction, if they start construction tomorrow, you know, they'll have money in their fund bank to pay out, I'm assuming. But is this a way to guarantee that they have up until 2028 to start paying out? Like, what is the point of?
No, I think it's just, look, to be frank, I think it's just their own business model. They want to structure it that way. I think
Okay.
The town is certainly within reason to say we want escalations to begin, after the first year. I don't think that's, and I doubt it'll be.
Well, I'd like to live in an apartment where my rent doesn't go up for 5 years too. That's what I'm saying. So what I'd like to know is what is in their current agreement with us, when does their escalation start? I think I need to know the answer to that question first and what that escalation is. And I'm sorry, what was the amount of escalation in 2028 that would start? I forget.
500.
No, it's 500. That would start in 2020.
2.8.
2.8%, but the money would start, the 500 would start in 2024, and it would be 500 for 2024, 2025, 2026, and
Well,
2027.
it's monthly.
And then right.
Yeah, yeah.
For the
Time
year,
frame.
Yeah.
for the year, let me finish, please.
Sure.
For the year, and then in 2028, it would start to increase by 2.5% monthly. All right, so I think I need to know, for my own edification, what the escalation is currently on the current agreement, to your point, and when does that start? And then I guess we can make a decision.
Yeah, the 2.5 is going to be
I sus-
monthly,
I
or
sus-
actually yearly for the monthly
I
payments.
suspect escalation's already there every year. That's pretty standard across our agreements. And, you know, for whatever it's worth, 2.8 is probably kind of light. But, you know, those are business terms, right? Again, the town will be within reason, I think, to negotiate this to some degree, and can certainly do that.
Just a quick question, where's the location of this?
Darby Street?
Darby Street? Up at the top of the hill?
Yeah.
You may want to just run it by the water department, make sure they have no issues as well. Because
Yeah.
I know they have an installation there.
I think there's questions. I think there's questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, Dan, did Dan run out again?
Well, my practice, just so it's clear, I usually send these to certainly John and Dan, I believe. I can send it to Kenny too when we have the plans, which we may already have. I have to check.
You what's that?
Do we want to?
Yeah, just want to see what he has, what he needs, engineer-wise. All right, so we can,
I can get Dan the plans. It's not a problem.
yeah, I think he just went downstairs for a moment.
I think it needs to be tabled right now. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm ready to, I don't know about you guys. It's up to you guys. I don't know.
I mean, it's, I think we need to look at the existing contract, and see where we're at. I don't even think we know where we're at monthly on this one.
And again, Lenny, I'm sorry, I know there's been a lot of back and forth, but we just want, so what you're requesting is that the escalations start in 2028. That's what this call is about, correct?
Correct.
And I don't want to misspeak for you, and it's because it allows you to guarantee us the escalation. What's the reason behind wanting it for 2028?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
The request is for the escalation to start in that date of 2028, and the reason for that is?
The reason for that is because of our license agreement with Dish.
Okay, so we're gonna take a deeper dive and see what our agreement is with you now, and then play apples to apples, and then get back to you. Are you okay with that?
Yes, that's fine. And I just wanted to point out for the existing rent and the escalation, we actually have a rent schedule attached to the First Amendment. So this one that I'm proposing is the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment has an attachment, and it is the rent schedule. And I can send that over to all of you via email if you want, just to help see what the escalation rate kind of looks like.
And just to be clear, what you're saying is the first rent schedule is not changing. The second half, with is attached to the Second Amendment, is the one that would be incorporating this additional escalation.
Correct.
Right,
Okay.
this way here, the attorney can memorialize this, so that we're not looking hither and yon for this kind of stuff when budgetary time comes and our audit people are going crazy, especially with that new Gatsby stuff that they're doing. All right, did Dan go away? Is he not?
So Lonnie, it'd be very helpful if you sent that information on.
Okay.
Okay. I can do that.
On cue, Dan arrives. Okay, Dan. They're going to be needing up on Darby Street, to put another structure basically to hold some type of electronic equipment. Am I right, Lanny?
It won't be an entire structure. It will just be a pad with some equipment on it, which would be like cabinets.
Oh, okay. So, what do you need to see from Crown Castle with regard to that particular location up on Darby Street?
I guess we just need to see a site plan.
Okay.
You know, the other cell companies already have a lot of equipment up there, so we'll want to make sure that doesn't create a problem, and also that we maintain clearance to our water tank.
Correct. Okay.
So if we can get a site plan, take a look at, make sure there isn't something that they're not seeing that we may have a concern with. But there's plenty of room up there, I think, to accommodate if I heard right, it's like a 500 square foot equipment shed they're putting up.
No, it's not. It was like you said, like 70 square feet, right, Laney?
70. Correct.
Yeah. So
okay.
it's just a pad, I guess, with enclosed cabinets on it,
Oh,
so.
okay.
And it's on the current compound. It's not
It'll be adjacent to the other equipment cabinets that are
Yeah.
there already.
on the current compound, yeah.
Could you send us a map plan on that so that we can take a look at where it is? And this way, if we do want to take a ride up there and take a look, we can. Or where it's
Yep.
going to be, I should say.
Yep, I can send a site plan.
Okay. That'd be good? Well,
Yeah, just give us a site plan, we'll just make sure, share it with our water superintendent as well to make sure that there isn't any conflicts that,
right.
but 70 square feet shouldn't be a big deal.
No, that's not too big. It's a couple pieces of plywood. That's basically it. So, all right, so we're going to table this till we get the information that we need sent forward to us in the email and with the site plan, and, we'll get it put back on for you, Laney.
All right, well, thank y'all so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye, Lenny, thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a good night. All right. We good on there? Okay, Taconic Bridge, sign replacements.
Thank you.
Hi, Susan.
Hi. I'm just wearing my Yorktown Trail Town Committee hat. Two of the other members of our subcommittee working on this, they work as opposed to me who's retired, so they had business obligations and couldn't be with you tonight.
That's okay, thank you.
Okay. This is the next step in this process. We've been before you before. This is the $6,500 grant from the Greenway to replace those faded signs on the Taconic Bridge. At earlier meetings, we kind of gave you a general overview about what was going to be in the two signs.
Yep.
What you were sent by email is this, what's called a creative brief. It basically lays out in more detail exactly what's going to be on both sides. The east side, which will explain the history of the Taconic Parkway, and why and how that bridge got built, which dates back to 1996. The sign on the west side will talk about the trails, and we will hype the trails because that's the wonderful part about this bridge. Thanks, Diana, for putting that up. That's one of the pictures that we have of the bridge under construction. That was actually sent by the company that did the work up in the Albany area. It came in 3 precast concrete things, and then they joined it all together. So that's one of the things we want to put there. So the reason for this brief is
Bridge.
for you to understand exactly what's going to be there. We have 3 proposed signs. This is still tentative, but it's firmer. One will be an outline of the Taconic Parkway, a much simpler illustration than what is on the signs now. Something about the bridge, and then also we have a photo from that you'll see there that shows the Taconic Parkway, and this is when the DOT was considering building the bridge. They thought that line that goes across was a trail. Actually, it's the pipeline, but I don't think they knew it at the time.
We're not working on that.
But that's how it linked. So what we need from you, and I apologize for thinking about the last minute, is basically a resolution from you.
For you to apply for the grant?
No, you
No,
got the
grant's done.
grant.
Okay.
The next step is we go out and get a designer
Oh,
to take what's written here
and make it pretty?
and make it look pretty. All right, that is the key aspect of this whole thing, is the design of the signs to make them informative but readable.
Yeah.
What's there now is just too many words. Nobody's going to stop and read it. So this lays it out, and then you agree to this, basically. I hope you've had a chance to look at it, to understand what's on the east side, the west side, okay? And then we'll go out, I spoke to Janelle, we'll go out for quotes. We'll do a professional services agreement. We'll get quotes that will be under the $15,000 threshold, and then we will be able, because this professional services, we don't have to go with the lowest bidder because we want to see what their experience is. This isn't
And
some-
see if they have any sunproof plastic to put over it or
well,
something.
that will be the manufacturing.
Yeah, we need
Or
that.
That's the simplest thing, and we have learned. Yorktown Trail Town has done many signs. The ones that are on the North County Trailway we put up, I think, in 2015.
They still look great.
Yeah. So, and it's the same company. In fact, I have to go drive out there to get the replacement for the quarry signs that were vandalized. We've just spent $1,700 to have them to have some replaced, plus additional posts.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, so that's something.
So the resolution you need is to
Just-
say it again.
The resolution will just be, and it's very simple, and it just says, that is the next step in the Hudson Valley Greenway grant for the replacement of the signs and the two kiosks on the two kiosks. The town board approves this creative brief that was drafted by the Trailtown Committee, and that this authorizes the comptroller to solicit the bids, to solicit the quotes. It basically says that this is what you know is going to be on the signs, so that we can now work with the designer. Before, when we go back and forth with the designer, okay, then we will come back to you with the final design before we go to manufacture. But it's just not practical to come back to you with multiple drafts and to have.
No. We already know what the material is. I agree with that.
That's it, and that's what this brief is. You agree that this is what's going to be on those two signs.
Because we thinned it out from all the information that was on the one.
So the design portion that this reso was covering, right? That's coming out of the grant money?
Yeah, the grant is $6,500, roughly 50%. As I explained to you, way back when,
Yeah.
when we were just investigating this, we had two very, very different estimates from graphics people.
No, I remember. It
Okay,
came down quite a bit.
so we took the higher amount just to cover our bases, so we don't know. The manufacturing of the signs is the simplest thing, and that's roughly $2,000. So if you figure $13,000 for the total project, $6,500 for the town's share, and some of that can come with in-house labor, all right? That's all been laid out in the grant application.
Yeah.
Once we have, so the designer is the biggest expense, and we don't know that until we start getting quotes from people who have actual experience doing this kind of signage. This is not somebody who designs a book, for example, and lays out text and photos in a book. The signs are a very unique kind of thing, and if you've seen the signs at the quarry, you kind of know what we're looking for. And also, in the terms of the grant agreement, we committed to having the text in Spanish, because we got additional, what I like to call brownie points in terms of qualifying, and because we could reach out to the different communities around us. Again, the trails attract people to Yorktown, and once they go on a hike, they go into a restaurant and relax, or they go into some store to shop. So this brings in, and by having the bilingual, it also will be more attractive to other people. So
All right,
so we just need you this, so then we can start writing down the specifics of the quote, and then start making some phone calls, get the quotes, and then we'll interview them. And if you want, we'll come back to you, and we'll tell you, because you have to approve that. So we'll come back and we'll say we've got 3 quotes, and we think quote number 2 is the best for
And this is
whatever.
why.
And this is why.
This is where their work.
Good deal.
Because I think you have to justify that in a professional services agreement, why you're going with somebody who's not the lowest bidder.
Right.
This isn't like a bid.
It's the best quality.
Yeah, it's the quality and the experience that counts.
Alrighty.
So if you just approve this, then I can start working on the text for the quotes.
And it may be the lowest bidder, we just don't know that yet.
We don't
Right.
know.
Okay, I just want to make that clear to people, okay. All right.
All right.
And we'll come back to you. We'll do the preliminary screening. If you want to interview we don't know how many we're going to get. There's no requirement. I spoke to Janelle. There's no requirement, but we want to see what's out there. This could be a firm. It could be a freelancer. We don't know.
Well, we're going to find that out, right? We got to go, okay.
Yeah. So if
All
you
right.
approve this, we just go on with the next step.
Okay, very good. We will get to that when
Okay,
we do the
thank you.
resolutions.
Thank you.
Okay. JT, John Tegeter, coming up with a Veterans Memorial, Vietnam Memorial at Patriot Park.
Hello, everyone.
Looking good,
Hey,
John?
John, how are you?
John,
Nice to see you after summer.
same here.
So I'm going to talk about the next monument that we're doing, and I'm glad to see that Patriot Park is continuing to evolve. And Ed mentioned to me in late spring that we should continue on and take on the task of setting a singular monument devoted exclusively to the men and women who served in the Vietnam War, and of course in those particular who gave their lives in that service. So with that in mind, I went forward and engaged a couple of monument installers, and I do have that in place, but I just wanted to go through to make sure everyone is understanding where it's going. This picture here is taken from the bottom of the trail near the actual North County Trailway. You're looking up towards Town Hall, which is out of screen to your left. And you can see the monument in the right part of the screen nearest the camera here is the one that we did last year. And the one next that you see as you move to the left is the Korean and Vietnam monument. So it was a monument that was done in 1968 to both the service members of the Korean and the Vietnam War together. The new monument will be placed between those two. In this picture, you might be able to see there's a little black dot there, which is the stub up for the light that will light this monument. It'll be right in front of that. Basically, all of these are going between the pear trees, so it's kind of forming this rhythm. You can go to the next picture. This is a head-on shot of that spot. It'll be right between those two.
It's perfect.
Yep, to the left is the Korean and Vietnam, current Korean and Vietnam Memorial. To the right is the one we did last year, the Global War on Terror. If you go to the next one, that is looking down towards the North County Trailway from the area near the parking lot. To the left is World War I, and continuing along to the right is World War II, then the Korean and Vietnam, and then the Global War on Terror, and the Vietnam will go between those last two. So next slide, please. I'm showing you this. This is the existing Korean and Vietnam War monument. If you take note of the shape, it has a tapered face, and the sides and top are rough. The face of it has what's called a sawn finish. It's rough, but it's smoother than what you see on the edges. So the shape and design of this new one will mimic that. The stone will be slightly different. It'll be a light gray, similar to the last one that we did. As you noticed, most of these are dissimilar, but they do have some similarities in terms of their size and so on and so forth. So we're trying to mimic certain aspects of them in certain monuments, not in others, to keep it dissimilar yet to have enough similarity that was created kind of by virtue, by happenstance. So if you go to the next one, that's just a close-up of the existing Korean and Vietnam one. And as you can see, it says dedicated to the men of Yorktown, and it's dedicated November 1968.
You can see that.
I can see that. Actually, I memorized that.
I thought so.
Yeah, come on.
Okay?
I was gonna say, no way.
Come on, John, you're good, but you're not that good.
I'm not that good. You can go to the next one, please. This is what it will look like. The diagram on the left is essentially the side view. You can see the tapered front. It mimics what's there. The front view is, it has that, sawn face. That's what they call it. And it's 3'6" wide. It's about similar size. And if you go to the next slide, this will be what the inscription says on the bronze plaque that will be affixed to it. We are including men and women of Yorktown. And down at the bottom, we are saying dedicated 1968 and November 2023. So we do not want to erase history of the event that they dedicated the first monument in Korea and
So I got a
Vietnam.
question.
And I know your next question is probably, what are we doing with the one next to it that's existing?
You
That was
are,
gonna be
you,
one of my
you-
questions,
you
too.
could see like an eagle and read minds. I mean, is there anything you can't
Got it
do?
all going on tonight. The plan is that we will remove this bronze on the current Korean and Vietnam, apply a new one for Korea alone, and then I think we should not lose that bronze plaque, but replace it somewhere in Patriot Park in another spot that doesn't have this, in this alley of wars that our
Like
folks
amongst the
have fought.
flowers or something?
Yeah, maybe down below, the Blue Star Mothers plaque is down there. And we can affix that to a smaller stone and have another small plaque that explains it was done in 1968, it was replaced, So history is preserved, the plaques are preserved, the efforts of our past folks who made these efforts are preserved, but we are kind of moving forward with honoring both men and women of both wars. Because both Korean and Vietnam did have women serve, and some of them did pass away, not necessarily combat casualties, but
Or we
theater.
could take that, the original Vietnam, Korean Vietnam, and put it in a different location at a different memorial somewhere
or you could do it in another place.
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
We can move it somewhere else. We could
Right.
put it in Shrub Oak where maybe it's, something's not, or I don't know, you know, another place where we have monuments and dedications of that sort.
That's correct. That is another opportunity, yeah. And
I think that's
that's mainly
about
it.
Looks good.
Very good.
Okay. And as you noticed also, I'm just talking about the evolution, if you noticed, to the left of World War I, there's space for Civil and Revolutionary War, so keep those in mind.
So,
And a little money in your pocket.
so I would like to clarify this, just something, because I know, Mary, you weren't here. This all started in conversation last year when we were redoing the War on Terror monument, or when we were doing a War on Terror monument, and we spoke about that. I personally have spent a lot of time with Vietnam vets, because that's what we have a lot of right now, and I was a guardian on the honor flight for 4 Vietnam vets between me and Carol. And just the understanding of the disrespect that they were given when they came back really cements in that we should be looking to do something to commemorate them that's not lumped together. One of the nice things, I put John in touch with Carl DeLibertor, who's a Vietnam vet and part of Vietnam Vets of America, and he looked at some of the wording. They're really excited about this, and I was just down at the VVA barbecue this past weekend, and I think these guys really deserve that recognition. So, and John, I thank you for
I
your
agree.
time and putting it on.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I second that, Ed. You're
Thank
spot
you.
on.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
We should call him Giovanni from now on.
Giovanni?
Make him Italian.
Giovanni
Giovanni.
Tegatura.
Giovanni, I'm on.
He already is Italian.
I'm not. All right.
Giovanni Tegadoro.
We're bringing up something that's going to be a work in progress, but we are working on it very hard because it is important to us. It is very, in recent times, has become
More of an issue.
definitely more of an issue than it has in the past, and that is the ATV law. We're going to do it so not only does it give our police department more teeth, but it puts more onus on the actual owners of these ATVs. Adam, could you give us some proposed legislative words on this?
Sure. So we heard from some folks last week. Since then, we've had some meetings on this. We met with Jane and Walt, and went over their proposal in some detail, which I have. We also have communicated with Parks and Rec and other stakeholders to schedule meetings to discuss their concerns, so we can, digest them all and come up with some comprehensive amendments that make sense and address everyone's concerns to the extent feasible. So that's where we are in the process. We intend to meet with Parks and Rec in the next several days, the PD as well, and then we can kind of digest everything and come up with a proposal.
All right. Can you give us a little broad brushstroke, or do you want to keep that until we have everything in play, Adam, on what this is going to encompass and how we're going to strengthen it a little bit?
Well, at a high level, it's increasing penalties so that there are further disincentives from this type of conduct. There's also an issue about unregistered versus registered, state law versus local law. So we're trying to harmonize the two and expand the reach of our own legislation so that it catches things that it doesn't otherwise catch necessarily right now. But we also, during the talk with Walt and Jane, there was some brainstorming going on, and I had some ideas about some, ways to maybe increase the town's ability to enforce the law, that's, because we have law on the books right now, right? The issue is practical ways to enforce it. So, you know, there's things we have to meet with the PD about and see. So it's in its nascent phase, but, you know, we're moving on it.
Yeah, it's a work in progress right now, but a very serious work in progress. This is something that we are going to take very seriously moving forward, especially with the incident that happened a couple of weeks ago. It's also becoming more evident that people, pardon me, people are using our parks and so on and so forth for their own personal ATV courses, which we're not going to tolerate. So that's part of the strengthening, plus signage. I mean, everybody needs a place to go ride these things, but it can't be on our turf and on our parks and injuring people that are just out playing a sport with their kids. It was ridiculous. And we had actually started on this, about a week before that incident, right, Adam?
Yeah, we had already been
Happened?
discussing it.
Yeah, we had a discussion on that due to an incident that happened over at DeVito Memorial Field, where there were some young individuals there on these e-bikes. Now, those e-bikes, they get moving. They do about 30 miles an hour. And what happened?
I don't know if you had a beeping noise.
It's coming from Diana's office. But, yeah, they do about 30 miles an hour, and it became a point before the police could get there that actually myself and Marissa from Jim's department had to intercede and get the kids off the turf there, because we had a young children's movie going on. Can you imagine what would have happened, the melee that would have occurred should one of those kids have gotten hurt by one of those cyclists? So that's when we first started talks of this, and then this occurred about a week or so later. So it's been a work in
I
progress.
saw another one today on Underhill.
Did you?
I don't know if it was at, what is it, Gashi Court, or one of the streets, the side streets, like waiting to like cross, and I was kind of like, there was a kid, like a little girl on one of those electric bikes. I was like, this
With
is
that
not-
silver helmet, right? She's all over the
No,
place.
I don't
It's funny,
know.
actually
I don't
spoke
know.
with her.
I don't know, but
She's like a professional biker, and like she does some really crazy tricks,
That's-
and she puts it on the bike and takes it down to White Plains and puts it on the bus. And she said it gives us all a bad look. And I've been doing this since I was really young, and now I've only gotten better, and I'm trying to do this. And your heart goes out to like the ones that are trying to do it safely. And she is trying to go down to White. I mean, when I watched her, because obviously my office is across the street, put it on the front of the actual public bus and lock it in, and then pay the bus driver. I was like, that's really brave for a young little girl to be doing that. Like, I was,
They got a bike rack in front. I saw that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just feel like the bad sometimes will hurt the good, and it just.
Well, that's what it is. It's such a rich cultural thing in Yorktown. I remember really, longtime residents of Yorktown. They tell you stories about how they would ride their dirt bikes down 202 to where Lake Caldor was before it was Lake Caldor. It used to be a big pile of dirt, and so it's really something that runs really deep in Yorktown to do this kind of stuff. It's unfortunate that a few people chose to take advantage of it and cause such a problem because of their behavior. I mean, it really is. But I think there's a way to preserve the culture of it all and resolve the issues that caused a lot of pain and heartache for that family of the gentleman that got pretty much mowed down. So
I don't think it's a culture. I think it's just disobedience.
No,
to be
I
quite
meant
frank.
the riding of ATVs and bikes in Yorktown. It goes a long way. I remember a few people told me that.
Yeah, but in general, there have been enough laws, and if as a parent I'm buying an ATV or a motorbike for my child, these are the rules. I would not want my kid, and I see it all the time, I would not want my kid riding down the middle of the road on a motorbike that's not licensed, half the time no helmet, and the other half of the time someone hanging off the back with them. And, you know, there just needs to be an understanding that it's not safe for anyone. And that people ignore it. I literally have communicated this to the police station a dozen times. And they come in now, they can't chase them, and when they come up to the area, they can't find them half the time because they're smart. But
Right.
they whip through stop signs. They have no respect for any of the rules of the road. And it starts with the fact that they're not supposed to be on the road. But the parents need to, teach that. And if not, then they should be confiscated, and the parents should be fined.
But you're right, and I'm just saying, it's not all of them.
No,
No,
it's not all
but-
of them, but the ones that are, they have to be dealt with because it's a nuisance. Hey, let's all face it, we were all kids once, we all did silly things, but when it comes to being injurious to other people is when, it's one thing you go out and you injure yourself, but when you mow down somebody else, that is
Well,
intolerable.
that's an end result of a slip in the law.
Yep.
My son-in-law grew up in a rural part of Massachusetts. He's into motorbiking to the point where he does racing. He used to build them. He used to put them together. And he always went to a course. And even there, he's broken his arm, broken bones several times. Matter of fact, when they were moving to Europe, he found out that my daughter had sold all of his motorbikes and said, "Well, we're going to use the money in Europe." He did buy he did buy something out there though, but you know what? He goes to a place.
Yep.
And that's basically what you need to do. And if anyone's listening out there that feels that you'd like to take some property and develop it for ATV and mini bike and charge, hey, you know what? Give us a call. We'd be more than happy
Ed, one of
to talk. But
one of the things that came up with when I was with Jane and we had at the parks meeting was, the kids have to get with their ATV to the location. So there's a lot of quirks to it in my opinion.
My brother-in-laws go quadding down in Virginia.
Well, you put them on a trailer.
Right, and when my nephew was underage, he would get it on a trailer. My brother-in-law would drive from New York. My other brother-in-law would drive from Maryland with his sons, and they would go and they would do their quadding.
Mm-hmm.
Look, just because it's inconvenient doesn't excuse the laws of the road, and that's really what the issue is. When your child is old enough, if you want to buy a motorcycle, they're more than welcome to. Get it licensed, take the test, get a motorcycle license. You know what? It's important, and the more we erode our rules and laws out of convenience, I think the harder it becomes for our police. And that is, that is really what we need to think about in the long run. Are our police going to be able to enforce if we erode everything? And then, in addition, are we going to create such a safety hazard by them riding around? The last thing I want to see is some little kid to get creamed by a car because they were driving their motorized bike or motorcycle, or mini bike, or ATV, no idea of stop signs, yields, right into traffic. And I have seen some very close calls.
Yeah, to your point, Ed, and probably the stuff that we have to think about more than not is that most of these vehicles are operated by juveniles. And, there's different laws between the juveniles and adults. So it's a very double-edged sword, I guess we could put it, but we have to, we're going to have to start holding people responsible for their actions, especially, marking the two that I feel just occurred, especially the more serious one that happened on Hunter Brook Field. All right. I think we go on. Everybody like to go on to resolutions?
Yep.
Yep.
Or do you want to hang out a little bit and talk?
Well, I mean, we have the masses here watching the
I know,
meeting.
the masses are here. Oh, before we get going, for those of you that could not make the 9/11 memorial service at Shrub Oak, this is the stone that was placed, the memorial that was placed there. It's pretty shiny, so you really can't see it too good. But this is what we placed there on a Saturday, and we dedicated it yesterday. And basically the inscription on it, I don't know, can we zoom in on that at all, Diana? Is it going to be... That's
I
probably
guess we need John Tegeter with his great eyes.
Yeah, John. Yeah, we need him with his great eye. But anyhow, on the top of it, it basically says, dedicated to those who continue to perish due to 9/11 related illnesses, and I think that is appropriate since we have more and more of them perishing every. You okay?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you read
Just
the
checking.
back
We have more and more of them perishing every year. And then, of course, we shall never forget. And this was once again donated by Eric and Liz D. Bartolo. Thank you, Eric and Liz.
Do you have the list of the people?
I do, but not with me. Okay. All right. All right. We'll go on to our resolutions. Okay, we're going to, from the comptroller, we're going to authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer from the general fund to general fund balance to adult programs. That's $1,200 being introduced into adult programs. And we're going to authorize the comptroller to pay Patricia Caparel the cash value of her unused time as of her date of retirement and transfer funds for the purpose of her retirement. Congratulations, Pat, on your retirement.
Yes.
And then, whoops, sorry, Tom. We're going to award pavement marking bid to Seal Coat USA, Inc., with a contract to begin September 1st, 2023, and to terminate on August 31st, 2024. That's for pavement markings. Town Board, accept the resignation of Mark Alexander, effective September 16th, 2023. Mark, good luck in your future endeavors. Award bid for the preventative maintenance on on-call services for the emergency generators, and that goes out to, where does it go to? I guess it would go to Effortless Power, is what it looks like. Okay. Yep, Effortless Power. So, and we got the one more, and this is from the supervisor. Be it resolved, supervisor is authorized to execute an agreement letter with Diamond McCarthy LLP for legal services in the amount not to exceed $15,000. That has to do with legal services due to Adam, what would we call that? The tax certiorari?
It's basically a tax certiorari proceeding wrapped up into a federal bankruptcy proceeding for the mall, Washington Prime.
Right, and that's because they're based in Texas,
yeah,
correct?
The bankruptcy proceedings in Texas.
Okay, and we're going to let it be resolved. This is for the purpose of Taconic Bridge replacement signs. They create a brief resolved that the next step in the Hudson Valley Greenway grant for the replacement of signs in 2 kiosks on the bridge over the Taconic State Parkway. The town board approves the Taconic Bridge replacement sign creative brief, drafted by the Yorktown Trailtown Committee as the basis for the text design of the signs, and authorizes the town comptroller to solicit quotes from graphic designers under the terms of the professional services agreement section of the town's procurement policy. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All carry? All right, I think we'll go into the adjournment section of our meeting tonight. Anybody, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All opposed? Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Trying to trick us.
Motion carries, that's right.
Yorktown.
Good night, Yorktown.
Good night.